The grand design, some people say it's even harder to find. Well, there must be some magic clue
You
inside
definitely gonna
this
need a better
little
sound
world.
quality on that audio.
The power of real love bursting out everything.
Hey, make sure there's no feedback.
Okay, I think that's enough.
Shouldn't you at least let the chorus play?
Yeah, the hook is like the best part of that song.
All right. All right, starting over.
Take two. Take
Sorry.
two.
Shut up.
Hey, you know, I just. Are you playing from your computer or from somewhere different?
Oh, that's my other computer. So I guess everyone, this is the first podcast for Hairflips and Layups. For those who aren't in the know, Hairflips is all about sports, pop culture, and anything that will tickle your fancy, I suppose. So we'll try to keep it light as possible and focus primarily on sports, but as we know, we tend to kind of just talk about whatever the fuck we want to talk about. Neil, for instance, just for whatever reason, has a fixation with Murder, She Wrote. Might have a... So, with that said...
Actually, it's Golden Girls on TV right now.
Okay, with that said, we're all excited about this first podcast. We hope to continue to do it more regularly. And people should like us on Facebook for some more of this crap. Because, you know...
This ain't crap.
Yeah, well, if it isn't, then crap is good. Anyways, I'm the Kimbodian. That's my pen name. I am, first and foremost, the most handsome guy out of these three. And big time, semi-big time, I guess, sports fan and pop culture. And that's how we came about. So if you want to go ahead and give a little blurb about yourself, that'd be great. No? Mecca?
Go for it, Mecca.
I don't know what to say. Just your
Well, you're the soccer guy.
resident soccer analyst slash,
Football.
you know, extreme sports enthusiast. You know,
So you're
Just
pretty much the level-headed one of the group.
the level-headed one,
The level-headed one, the one that's a
the
little
voice of reason.
voice of reason, exactly. Whereas I'll let Neil introduce himself and say shit about himself next.
As told by the blog, the Facebook page, I'm 150. I'm the eternal pessimist of the group. I hate bandwagoners, and I love losing teams. So I don't know if I love the Niners anymore. Maybe I'll be a Raider fan in a few minutes.
Oh, come on, man.
You know, I wouldn't be surprised. People are starting to jump on the Raiders bandwagon, Neil. So we have plenty of room.
Me and Dennis Allen are like this.
Come on, man.
With that being said, we had a female's perspective voice as well. Mystified, unfortunately, she's doing hipster things, and she probably will continue to do hipster things on occasion. But we'll try to have a female, I guess, voice perspective as much as possible, because you know, for whatever reason, you know, their opinions actually.
I'm surprised she's not a member of CrossFit.
But remember though, she broke her back.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's why.
That is true. So we're actually looking forward to Misty joining us more regularly, but that is the crew. 150. Hey, Mecca, what's your persona?
Delicious.
Hey, yeah, delicious. Double D.
Delicious. Okay, okay. Delicious. 150, the Cambodia, and we don't want to give Misty her
hipster.
well, yeah, I guess hipster, and We have another female voice as well, Connie, but she's been kind of not vocal. But again, to get her on board more regularly, and as well as just local celebrities that we have that we're hoping to feature, such
Happy
as
birthday, Glenn!
Glenn. Shout outs to Glenn, Glenn Z-Bear,
Glenn Beast.
mixed martial arts master, Taekwondo.
We should have a Glenn Buki for these casts.
Yeah.
I know, I wish I had mine. I don't know where I put it right now.
Yeah, so anyways, local celebrities will be heavily featured, hopefully. Glenn Z-Bear being the prime example. And others dressed as celebrities, hopefully, throughout the podcast. So, I'm working on my impersonations. Let's just jump right in, right? The hot topics of the week. There's a couple things. Brian Wilson coming down to Los Angeles. Now, thoughts,
The
opinions.
footsteps of the other Bay Area trader, Cambodia.
But I mean, is it his fault that he would end up in Los Angeles? It's not his fault. It has
Well,
nothing to do with him.
Okay, so fact is, he hasn't been playing for almost 2 years.
Yeah,
I mean, his good days are behind him. He's kind of a shell of himself, right? So why?
No, honestly, I don't think his best days are behind him. Maybe his best showman days, like.
Well, I don't know.
he'd be
Showman
like
has
more-
nothing to do with actual, abilities. I mean, showmanship is kind of like Hogan still has showmanship.
But that's what I'm saying. I think he's gonna be in LA. And he's gonna chill out. Like he won't be crazy Brian Wilson anymore. That's what I think. But as far as like him
I think
being able to close the game,
I think the fans feel betrayed, and rightfully so. But I mean, think about it. In this day and age, do you really expect an athlete to, I guess, stay loyal when the ownership isn't loyal?
why would a
I don't
fan
know.
feel betrayed? No, Giants fans should have no reason to feel betrayed by Brian Wilson. Did the Giants make an offer to him, and that he turned down?
They expressed interest.
Okay.
But
Then how else do you express interest if you show me the money, like my boy
Jerry Maguire.
Jerry Maguire would say, you know?
man,
No, I mean, I think it's just blown out of proportion. I mean, it wouldn't be as bad if it wasn't LA. That's the big thing. If it was, say, I don't know, somewhere back east or something, well, that's not a rivalry. I don't think it'd be a big deal.
I don't think the rival, just like someone mentioned, I heard this from someone earlier in the week. Players really don't care about rivalries as much as fans do. Honestly, it's like unless you actually grew up a fan, and I kind of want to, there's been a lot of in the English Premier League, there's a lot of parallels in that of teams like moving to their rivals. And then when they talk to those players, they're like, man, I didn't know anything about like these rivalries. Like there's even stories of like head coaches that came into the league and got more flack from like the fans for not taking rivalries seriously.
Well, yeah, I think for the most part, I think the intellect or the intellectual aspect of it has been taken out of the game. Like
Yeah.
the athletes don't necessarily care about like you said.
It's their livelihood.
But I mean, that's kind of like that's unfortunate because a part of that, it's what makes it kind of interesting. Not just to fans, but just like even casual viewers. I mean, everyone loves to see the Lakers play Boston, right, in the finals.
Yeah.
So as much as people don't put much stake into it, there's a lot to be said about those things organically. So it's unfortunate a lot of these players don't care about it anymore.
It's not that they don't care about it anymore, but it's their livelihood. Like if you pay me to play somewhere, I'm gonna play. Just like I don't know, it's their livelihood, it's their source of living. For fans, it's more a source of pleasure, but for them, that's their life. They would probably feel the same way about maybe their favorite actor joining a franchise that they didn't like or something. like a movie franchise that they weren't happy with, or joining a TV show. It's like, you lose all respect for the person. But for them, that would be the flip side. But for the players, it's their livelihood. I feel like with Brian Wilson, if the Dodgers offer you $1 million and your current employers don't make a move on you that would expressly tell him, okay, I have a reason to stay, I don't think he's obligated to stay. It's just unfortunate that the Dodgers are offering him that money.
There's a thing like, okay, you're pretty much taken care of. I mean, there comes a point where it doesn't really matter about the figures, right? And it's not even about loyalty. It's just about, okay, well, I guess it is about loyalty, but at least what do I owe the organization, and it's to an extent the fans, right? I mean, it says a lot when one player stays on one team his whole professional career, and it just doesn't happen anymore.
It doesn't happen anymore.
I think the true sense of the hometown discount is like a myth.
It's a myth.
Right? It's just a myth. I mean, it is true what Mecca just said. It's all for fans, like the loyalty, the team versus team. I mean, in the 70s and 80s, when there was no such thing as free agency, that's when everybody was with the team. You may have like say Joe DiMaggio or Terry Bradshaw, but there was no real fluidity between players. But during like the Curtis Floods and all those other guys, when they start switching teams and they start the focus, like especially the NBA, when NBA started marketing players rather than the teams,
true.
We as fans, we lost control. We really did lose control.
Well, okay, for me, it becomes more of a romantic thing where I guess down the line you can say, oh, this player was ours. You know what I mean? So it might not make sense when they're at their end of their career, like say for instance Paul Pierce. But if he were to stay a Celtic his whole career, 20 years down the road, I mean, you could say more about his career as a Celtic. So it doesn't really pay dividends to the organization right away. But if like for instance, the Warriors still associate with Chris Mullin, right? I mean, I see a lot of like I don't know, stupid viral stuff about Chris actually leveraging him as like still a piece of the team, a piece of the history. And if you're able to associate one guy with the team, that's just going to make it that much better for you as a franchise. It just doesn't pay off while you are playing right now. It's like 10, 15 years down the road. I don't think they'll be that far.
Unfortunately, Brian Wilson doesn't even have that kind of pull with the Giants.
Well, he was drafted in 2003 with the Giants, right? And he's always been with the Giants throughout his career.
He's always been with the Giants, but he still doesn't have that kind of pull to where they probably felt they owed him any allegiance. I bet you this wouldn't go down with a Buster Posey type player on the Giants.
Yeah,
well, Buster. I mean, I think Buster will have that.
I think personally, like a couple years ago, I was ready for Brian Wilson to go. To be honest with you, I was ready for him to go, and there was no amount of money that I was gonna think that we should pull him back anyways. But I guess he was such a marketed figure with the team during that whole playoff run, and even in 2012 when he was on an IR and stuff, people got that sentimental attachment. But if they, and I think a lot of it is because they were bandwagon fans and they don't know the true essence of baseball. That wasn't another productive team. I mean, it's kind of like when we got rid of Joe. I mean,
I think you have more of a GM kind of mentality, and seeing these players, and
because I went through this whole when especially with the Niners in the 80s, when you got rid of like Ronnie Lott, Roger Craig, it's like you have to learn how to cut ties. That it's who you're gonna cheer for. You're gonna cheer for the player or the team. And for me, look, I'll cheer for the team. I don't particularly care for them after they leave, but
players come and go. But
well, I mean, yes, the players do come and go, and the sport will always like continue to go on. But there are players who kind of get into that little, they become part of the team, and there's not a lot of them, but when they do exist, you kind of have to, give them kind of everything that they want, pretty much,
But no way was Brian Wilson worth. I don't even think Brian Wilson was worth that $1 million, to be quite honest with you.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's
so
what it came down to.
that's why I can actually cut ties. I mean, if Buster Posey in his prime went to the Dodgers, I'd be kind of mad. But I understand it's a business, but still doesn't mean I'll forgive him. You know what I mean? I don't want to say I hate him, but it's like, man, that's like the worst team you could go to.
Yeah, I think that's
in his
hurt.
prime. But like just like Uribe when he left,
Yeah.
I didn't want to keep him.
But it's still tough though, even in those situations. And sometimes some of these teams actually do these things intentionally. They offer the player, huge chunks of cash just to get them to come over to the team. And of course, that cash is not their value, but it's based on the value of the rivalry. It's like inside information. It's like, what's the name did it for a long time. Bill Belichick did it for a long time. He would go and take like the best players from like teams within the AFC East, just to get inside information. Because I'm playing these guys multiple times out of the year, so I need as much information as I can get. He was known for that. During the trade window, when players got waived, those players had no value, but they would sign them anyway, just to get like some inside information. In the case of baseball, unfortunately, money comes with it. So some teams, baseball, there's no salary cap, so there's plenty of money to throw around. Some teams will play, and to them, the value is the value of the inside information.
If I was a fan, the person I would hate most, if I was a fan in Cleveland, the person I would hate most isn't LeBron James, it would be Carlos Boozer. Because Carlos Boozer actually went and he took off the money during his prime. You know what I mean? Wanted,
that makes sense, but Carlos Boozer's fucking.
No, you gotta look at it because remember that whole. I don't know if you remember that whole situation was like he still had a year on his contract, or he was gonna they were gonna extend him, but they said okay, no, we won't extend you. Like it was like a behind the scenes contract, like handshake was like. We won't extend you from your rookie contract. We'll let you go become a free agent. We'll sign you to the max. But when they released him from that contract and they started working on negotiations, he bolted town for more for money. You know what I mean? He was supposed to go through that like 1 year contract just so he can get to that point.
No, I agree. I mean, it was kind of a gentleman's agreement that he didn't.
Yeah, but see, and that's what I wouldn't. I mean, I can understand why they don't like LeBron, but I mean, as a thinking fan, I mean, I'm more upset at what Carlos Boozer did.
Well, I mean, okay, say for instance, yeah, he didn't necessarily
That's not even going to a rival. He
didn't do honest things, but at the same time, who has more of an impact on the team, LeBron or Carlos? You know what I mean? Yeah. LeBron was just his decision, and Carlos kind of did something that was kind of snaky. But the fact is, LeBron was more impactful as a player. So, obviously, he's a person that you should get. I wouldn't say get mad at more, but I mean, kind
of even back to that Carlos Boozer thing. I don't know the details of that deal, but. Should he have gone back to Cleveland and said, "Hey, I got more money somewhere else. Are you guys willing to match that?" I don't think that would have worked in that salary cap NBA.
The situation with that, I think it was sort of like what happened with Gilbert Arenas, where they could have extended him another year just to get to that where they could start offering more money. But but all I remember was that, They let him end his contract, or they stopped his contract so they can extend him, but rather than go with the extension, he bolted.
A year makes a difference though. That's probably his agent talking about, hey, a year makes a difference. I've seen this been so many situations of players who waited a year or held out for a year or whatnot, and then the following year their value totally drops.
Yeah. change. I mean,
So for some players, in Carlos Booza's case, he probably never thought he would be as big of a player as he is today. And honestly, I can definitely see that being the case. And so he probably felt like that was the highest he was gonna ever get. So he probably wanted to take it as soon as he could.
But if you think,
look at Brandon Jennings. Look at Brandon Jennings. He turned down with a $40 million offer, and now he's kind of like left with what, 28 million or something like that.
Detroit?
So, yeah, for Detroit. So I mean, some people overvalue themselves, and
Yeah.
the trail, fool, you gotta feed his family.
Yeah, he pretty much did the trail, right? I don't know what it is with these, I guess, Great Lakes, or the
Milwaukee people.
Great Lakes area. Well, Milwaukee's up there, somewhere up there. But shit,
Yeah.
Brandon Jennings is awful, and Dallas is actually. I don't know what the hell they're thinking. I thought Mark Cuban was actually a thinker's man owner, or a thinking man's owner, and he's starting to sign just sloppy seconds and leftovers just to say he made moves. I don't know. I mean. Fact is, I'm glad to say that I'm a Warriors fan because they seem to be making the right moves. Whether or not, I don't know, people agree with it, I think they're sound moves.
They're making good moves now.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, with the new ownership, right? They've even though the owners talked a lot of game, whatever. At least they're doing something, and it's showing, right?
I think bringing it back is that. I think fans would have pretty much. I think a lot of fans would have or the people that are really hating right now on the Brian Wilson to Dodgers, they would have accepted any other. I think they would have been mad at. I think the vitriol would be against the Giants if he went to another team, but because he went to the Dodgers, that's the only reason why he's getting the vitriol. If to any other team,
and that's understandable.
The Angels or even the A's, but I think. Specifically the Dodgers.
Hey, what someone brought up recently, which I kind of realize it's true. I don't know if anyone has any insights on this, but why don't the A's and the Giants ever make deals? This has been going on since like the 70s. Is there any news or story about that? You guys have any insights on that?
No.
Yeah, because I mean, before the trade deadline, there was all this speculation about the Giants can probably sell off, and the A's could probably use some, quality players from the Giants for future prospects or whatnot. But we were like, no, that's never going to happen. Basically, the Giants and A's never make. It's kind of funny to me since they're not really. I mean, they never really competed in the same league. They're crosstown rivals per se, but until the recent whole interleague play thing. It's never really been a factor. So I was just not about that.
No idea, but I don't know, Neil. I'm not,
I mean, there's been a lot of crossover back when, but I mean, maybe it's just regional rivalry, but I mean, it's kind of like the Niners and the Raiders don't really.
Well, that one makes a little bit more sense, I think. The Niners and the Raiders.
But I mean, it's just. But there has been crossover players. I mean, if you look at the whole, Mike Gallego went from the A's to the Giants. Yeah. There's been crossover players, but as far as maybe just regional differences, I mean it's.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. Oh well.
That's interesting. But speaking of the A's, they're on some kind of a roll, right? I mean, what are they? 20 games.
They have the best record in the AL.
Are they first place? 20 games above 500. I think the last I checked.
Oh yeah, they're well above 500.
Yeah, and yet people are still flocking to
Giants games.
Overpriced ATT Park.
I mean, I don't know the last time you were at a Giants game, but honestly, if you go to a Giants game, I feel like I'm at a freaking.
You're at what?
I feel like I'm at a. I don't know. Whether it's like a rave or some big
it's
romantic.
The place to be, right? It's a party.
Just it's just like one huge gathering of you look around. I don't know. I feel like there's more people. There's more people like just walking around and hanging out there and actually watching the games.
Well,
Yeah.
and
Everyone's like trying to clean and fly and and whatnot.
well, you know what? Those are the fans. Those are the fans that put money in the
Yeah,
pockets of the owners, and
the owners. Yeah,
fans.
mean, I'm
They're
not
not
hating
real
on that.
fans. They buy the merchandise,
Yeah.
right? They buy it
Yeah.
regularly.
Yep.
They go to the games regularly. They don't care about players, the history.
And they happen
You
to
know,
be in
they
a prime location.
and it's fine because they're supporting the team. So
They're in a prime location. I mean, at the same time, it's like, and that was part of why I've always said this. That was my biggest beef with the Warriors. That was the biggest problem I had with the Warriors because I felt like the barrier technically is big enough for two teams in any sport. The barrier is big enough for two teams in any sport, and the Warriors are just spoiled in that. Even when the team sucked, they were still selling out because you would always get those casual fans, people that have enough money to buy tickets for four, like wife and kids. There's always, you don't get that in a lot of markets. Like people have to budget these things. In the Bay Area, you get enough casual fans to where people can just look up, things to like, especially in the summertime like this. Kids are out of school. What am I gonna do with them? Like they can just randomly, like within a week before, just look up what games are coming up and just go to the game. Like they're going to the movies, basically.
no, I mean
For normal fans, like we mark certain games on the calendar, like months in advance, or we mark certain teams we want to see or players we want to see, or, stuff like that, or we mark certain streams of series, stuff like that, and those are not the people that put the money in the seats. Those are not the people that put money in the pockets of the owners. It's the casual fans. That's why the Giants have, I guess, the largest. They were like the largest collection of gimmick games in the league.
Well, I agree.
Like
I
Star
agree.
Wars Day and
Well, no. That's the thing. As I don't want to use the word purist, but as a fan who follows the team, religiously, you hate to see those fans in the seats.
Yeah.
But as much as we hate it, they create so much more of a presence for like national stage, anyways.
Yeah.
That so it's a double-edged sword, I guess, and it kind of sucks because it's like shut the fuck up. But at the
I
same
have
time,
nothing against it.
no, I don't. It's when they turn around and think that hey, I've been following these guys, blah, blah, blah. That's what I hate. You know what I mean? Like I can understand. Huh?
Since 2000, I've been following the Giants since 2010. That kind of mentality. I'll tell you one thing though. I think with the Giants, AT&T is marketed as like a destination.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, and you know exactly what you guys are saying is that it's a totally different atmosphere than going to say to go to the Coliseum.
Yeah.
When I go to
Totally
Coliseum,
different.
I can turn
that go.
This is last year too. This is before they even started making that.
Yeah.
It's like you go to there and you can turn to your left and there'll be some guy. He's decked out with buttons and he's gonna like. So what do you think of their outfield? Blah blah. You can talk baseball at the Coliseum. It's a little bit different now, but it's still you can talk baseball at the Coliseum. You can't do that at AT&T Park. There are too many people there that are concerned of trying to do the wave, and it's like it is a different crowd. But you know what? A lot of it though, because I was talking to one of my A's friends, like a long time A's friends. Early 2000, they were selling tickets. I mean, they weren't able to fill like Mount Davis, but they still were selling tickets. And a lot of it is because it's basically the Giants are winning and the A's weren't really winning until halfway through last year. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, a part of it too is, face it, Oakland. I don't want to say Oakland, the city itself, but the arena is. Not the arena. The Coliseum's a dump, man. Even the area.
Area, yeah.
You and I know. Okay, so
Area
when we go to these games, right?
But at the same time, the Bay Area is big enough for stuff like that. Warriors play in that same area, but they still sell out games.
Well, that's understandable, but I'm saying well, the arena itself is actually a lot conditioned than the
Coliseum. Yeah, true.
So we're talking about venues now, and not necessarily the site, but even the site. You know, McDonald's closes at 9, right, and only drive-through service. So there's the problem if I'm bringing my kids, or whatever. If a family of 4 brings their kid, and like, okay, I can't even like go to McDonald's after the game because I'm afraid I might get shot up. That there's a problem. So I think the only thing they really need to do is get out of. I wouldn't say get out of Oakland, but they should at least move. Whether it's to a different site in Oakland, I don't know. But that area, I say just abandon it because it's just awful for today's sporting experience. It's not. It just isn't. It's not friendly for anything.
Supposedly, the city's trying to improve the area. I mean, there's a bunch of apartment complexes and stuff, and they're actually they're building the BART out to go all the way to the airport.
Well, I mean, the infrastructure is kind of there, but we're talking about how AT&T Park is. You can walk and have an experience. You know what I mean? You can have a drink at blah blah blah.
Who's willing to pay for it?
Yeah, there you go.
Who's willing to pay for it? I mean, they're introducing that Howard Terminal, but it's like going to be $1 billion just to make it, ready to have a stadium, and that's not including to have building the stadium. That's the problem. I mean, granted, the Coliseum is a dump, and it's not a day event. It's just going to the game. But for me, the Coliseum is really convenient because it's right next to BART.
Yeah, exactly. It's the most convenient.
It's really convenient to me.
It is the most convenient.
I mean, 18.
But there's more to it than just convenience. I mean, you still have to have an experience at these events. I mean, if I was a tourist, right, and I'm visiting the Bay Area, if I say go to the A's game, which I'm probably gonna enjoy, whatever. Okay, after the game, you know what I mean? It's kind of like, oh, what do I do? I mean, I'd like to get to at least explore the area, and see some of that stuff. Unfortunately, you don't get that over there. You really don't. I mean, when we were at I don't know, the Seattle ballpark, wasn't it nice to just kind of like walk around the area, even though regulars over there don't care about blah blah. But as someone who's new to the area, it's nice to see these stupid shops, these dumb vendors selling hot dogs and fingers and stuff, because it becomes part of the experience.
But again, it goes down to who's willing to pay for it. I mean, I understand that, but if Lou Wolf is not willing to put money into building in Oakland, that's just not going to happen. I mean, because a lot of places they really do expect the city to subsidize it.
Yeah.
Oakland cannot do that. You can.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, they're in bad situation because.
They're in a really bad situation.
I mean, and part of it is the city too. I mean, like it or not, the city is a dump. I mean, I've always been a fan of Oakland, and I've always rooted for them. Not the team, but just the city in itself, because the fact that they're kind of underdogs, right? I mean, that's kind of partly the reason I root for a lot of dumb teams, because it's an underdog thingy, and Oakland is just going to lose, especially neighboring San Francisco right there. Oakland's the red-headed stepchild. That's just the way it is.
And and I think a lot of the Warrior fans that built that made Oracle what it was is pretty much who we are. We like using BART. I mean, like, the total experience. I don't want the experience at AT&T for the Warriors. I mean, that's what's this is what kind of bugs me, is that you go to you look at the lower bowl of the Warrior games during playoffs. That does not represent.
It's not a true representation of the blue collar Warrior.
Really, yeah, that's not really. who really plays basketball? Who's the players and stuff? So the first rule during playoffs was not the Bay Area or representing the basketball team or who really follows basketball passionately. And
But we all know that, though. I mean,
that's why I love Club 200, because it's like that's people who probably know basketball.
Yeah, you can't really.
They just can't afford to go tickets, but they want to go see a game because.
Unfortunately, basketball has always been like that, where basketball is all celebrity driven on the court and off the court. Look why you think the Lakers are on TV so much? Trust me, it's not because the Lakers are that good. Because that's where the celebrities go to watch, and then they pan around to make sure they get all the celebrity shots in the audience, because it gives them something to talk about. Also, it gives the casual fans something to watch and to look out for. You know, if you watch a basketball game most girls actually are more like can follow basketball a little bit more for two reasons. First of all, they can recognize the players.
Yeah.
Secondly, they're always looking out for celebrities in the stands. You don't see that in any other sport. Every once in a while, NFL is starting doing that, where they start looking in the boxes. But that just makes the people that they pan to look more kind of elitist, because they're in a box and they're all cozy, so it doesn't really connect them as much.
It has a different vibe. That's why that doesn't really work as much. For the NBA, you actually see them on the sideline, so it makes them look like they're a fan, because they're actually sitting like right there, so they must like really be into the game, as against just sitting in a box seat somewhere and watching TV and only looking at the game when it's convenient, when the crowd goes wild or something like that. So the NBA has done a really good job with that, and kind of like to contrast, like I said, the same thing. Like you see the blue collar fans over at the O.co watching the games, and then you see the casual fans at AT&T. Same thing with basketball. You see the the elite fans on the sidelines, right next to the court side, and then Club 200. That's where you find the blue collar, like really rooting, like screaming their lungs out fans. So what do you think the solution for Oakland's underperforming attendance? I mean, what's the solution for that? I mean, they're playing great baseball.
I mean, honestly, it really comes down to building that area out. If there's a way the city can build, I think the Coliseum is fine. I mean, outside of actually renovating it and like a clean in and out renovation, honestly, like more than anything, the convenience of BART to it is a big plus. Because I love going to AT&T Park as soon as I'm in the park, but getting there for me has always been like, and Caltrain has done everything to let people like drink on the rides and all that stuff to get there, but it's still like a freaking 3-block walk over there.
Yeah.
So that kind of like, and most times it's freezing. You want to do that. So I think the Coliseum is in a perfect location. If Oakland actually has a lot of big plans for that whole like plaza, that whole area. They have a lot of big plans. It's just
if they build I blame Jerry Brown seriously, because he had a chance to build up, but he decided to feed his cronies. But you know what? Give it a couple years. If the Giants aren't performing, they'll start flocking, and they're gonna start flocking to the A's. I mean,
I doubt it though.
I
think at this point, AT&T Park is really beautiful to be at. It's nice. I mean, they like Kim said, they have the benefit of like tourists always being around and wanting to at least like circle the area and whatnot. Yes, the A's, they might actually get like locals. They might end up getting more locals. But I still think there has to be some kind of renovation work on that Coliseum, at least to make it.
And this brings back what Neil's always been saying: who's gonna pay the cost?
That's the thing. That's why I'm not sure. Even in a few years, and part of the problem also, it's like a catch-22, right? It's a catch-22. Like the city wants some commitment from these teams to be there a little longer, and then the teams also want some commitment from the city to actually start work on on things that need to be done to make it more appealing for them to stay. So it's like a catch-22. The city doesn't want to spend all this money, and then the teams leave, and then they're caught like holding the bag. The teams don't want to So it's a huge catch. So someone, like you said, really has to come in between and like pony up the money and put a lot less pressure on both sides and say, okay, no matter what happens, you know, this is how it's gonna be, and kind of like give them a reason to be more enticed to be more committed to each other. That's where the problem is. That's where the standstill is. I actually did some research to figure out like why the A's gave up on Fremont altogether. But the city of Fremont is not even ready.
Oh no, they're not.
Yeah, Fremont is not gonna put. They don't believe that they're that big of a city to. And of course, you know, like the makeup of the city as it is. So
they're not.
They don't believe that it's a viable investment.
And you know what? Honestly, sports arenas are not a viable investment. I mean, they don't like. There's tons of research that says that they don't really make that much money.
They don't, especially if they're like left unattended for days out of the year.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, if they double as like a performance venue where
But the thing is, the way the music industry is fractured, there isn't really that many big concerts to fill up 200
seat arenas,
a year, days a year.
Yeah. So that's the thing. I think arenas probably have a better shot, but Coliseums and ballparks not so much because they usually only serve one purpose. That's why every once in a while they build them now big enough to where if they need to throw a soccer field or a football draw hash marks on there for a football field, then they'll do it.
Well, I do feel sorry for the city of Oakland, frankly, and the organization.
Yeah, it's
kind of pathetic, that you have a product out there, and you just don't have the support of. I don't want to say the city, but I mean you don't have the support of the region, at least coming in and buying tickets. So at least with the Raiders, they just suck.
No, seriously, just wait until the Giants don't win, and if the A's keep going.
Aren't winning. They aren't winning.
But it's only been a year.
I mean, once they
you got. I mean, like I told you, post Bonds and pre Tim Lincecum, the A's were drawing were drawing more than the Giants, and Candlestick.
Even in AT&T Park, I find that hard to believe though.
I mean, they got more regulars. I mean, there's always people visiting, but as far as like season ticket holders.
Yeah.
I mean, so.
I agree.
But yeah, I think a lot of it is because the Giants won 2 out of the last 3.
Yeah.
I'm a Giants fan, and I understand why the prices are at AT&T Park the way they are. They have a winning product, and they paid for their stadium.
Correct.
So they can charge whatever they want, but
plus if the demand is there, then they should.
Yeah.
You don't want any whole person showing up to that ballpark.
Unfortunately, our prices are all a lot of old time fans that used to go there for like I used to be able to sit on the lower deck, third base, where I always sat, and for like $30. Now it's like $7. So.
Yep.
It just isn't affordable. I mean, it really isn't. But somebody has to pay for the player's salary now, right? Yeah. To be competitive, right? Like it's kind of sad how we complain about, man, these guys get paid, blah blah blah. But you need those players to be able to say, oh, I have a winning team.
Yeah.
It sucks because it's like shit. I don't want someone to fucking shell out all this money and then they lose. I don't know. It's just awful. I don't know what the hell I'm saying. But.
Cool.
All right. So you said something, Matt?
No, I was just wondering. I guess the baseball trade deadline was today, but there wasn't much activity from either team. So.
Yeah. I mean, was there a big trade today?
No, I don't think there's gonna be one. Teams are just trying to make runs this year. I I think Detroit is probably the only team that's really like looking to make a big splash because they've been so close so many times.
They picked up your boy Jose Iglesias.
Yeah. So, we'll see.
And speaking of which, jam business. So okay. Here's another topic. Why is it like baseball is just hard to follow, right? I mean, I can follow it throughout the year, but even from fantasy baseball to just baseball in general, it really is hard to follow. So
it's hard to follow. It's easy. Actually, it's easier for me to follow like the baseball season than it is to follow fantasy. Fantasy is just, man, too many players to keep track of.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, we're in that fantasy league, and I even told you guys from the beginning, like, it's just ridiculous of the stats that's involved. It's boring for fans. That's what it is. Like, when I go to a game, I'm not watching the game. I'm one of those dumbass fans that you probably see. Yeah, I'm not suited up to the nines.
But that's the good thing about baseball games. You don't have to watch the whole. You don't have to watch the whole time.
Well, yeah, I mean that's my point. I'm probably one of those guys that Neil kind of looks at and just scoff at. Is like, okay, this guy's not gonna talk baseball, But,
no, yeah.
But so I would consider myself a casual fan for baseball, and it's just so hard to follow. I mean, I don't think of myself as a retarded sports fan, but it's just boring, man. It's something you probably have to grow up with. You don't pick baseball, later on in life. You just don't. It's not one of those sports. Like, you can probably fall in love with football in your 20s, 30s, 40s, whatever, because it's just easy to watch people get hit each other. But baseball is it's too technical, I think.
Oh no, I think actually for me I started watching baseball playoffs after that Rally Monkey series.
Oh God!
That's when I started watching but I would always watch playoffs.
The series to talk about, you bring up 2002.
But that's when I really started like paying attention to. But I would only watch like playoffs though. I would only watch playoffs, and then it was like, it was like 2010. And then last year that I really like got into like whole season long, follow-ups and stuff, because you tend to pick up the little quirks around it. There's a lot of things that I find fascinating about baseball. Number one, you go to a game, you don't have to pay attention the whole time. I know I could never like with soccer, for instance, you have to wait till halftime to go get a drink or whatever. Basketball always felt like
they just kick it on their end of the field back and forth.
You can go to the bathroom. You can buy a beer every minute of a soccer game.
Exactly, and you're not really missing much. You can still follow the game even when you're like not in your seat. That's one of the things I've always loved. And then secondly, I always felt like it's one of those sports that does not discriminate in terms of who can play. There's no criteria. Like, I felt like every other sport, like football, you can look at someone and be like, oh, you can't play football. You can't walk on. You can just look at someone and be like, oh, you can't play football. Or you can look at a basketball player who's trying to walk onto your team and be like, oh, I'm sorry, man, I can't find a spot for you on the team. That kind of stuff. But a baseball player, you at least have to see him do something. You have to give him a shot. You have to throw at least 10 pitches to him. Or
Bartolo Colon.
Exactly. Or see him throw 10 pitches, depending on what position he plays, that kind of stuff. And that's one of the things I really appreciate about baseball. And I've always felt like, man, for instance, people like Coco Crisp, I always felt like he was way too athletic to play baseball. Like, I'm pretty sure he could have played any other sport, That fool, just like watching him on the field, it's like, man, he's just way too athletic for like the rest of them. Balls that you think are like totally gone, he just comes out of nowhere, like out of your screen, and he just like grabs them. Stuff like that. Those are the things that just are fascinating to watch at baseball games.
Well,
hey, invite Connie.
So, stuff like that. You just have to find the quirks, whether you're young or old, smart or dumb. you kind of just have to find the quirks around it.
Well, I mean, I actually used to follow the A's back the early '90s, late '80s, when they were, when I was a kid, and it was a little bit more magical because our Triple A team, I think that's what they're called, the Modesto A's, the farm team. I was able to go to the game, and we get tickets and stuff like that. So I don't know, it's more magical too because it's affiliated with a big league, right? So and when you're young, you don't know what the difference is. They just play in a bigger stadium.
Yeah.
I don't see that with baseball. I don't see any more with baseball.
But keeping up with fantasy on the other hand, though, that's a different story altogether. That's gonna take wow. For me, I mean, I felt like I was on top of it when the season started, but by All-Star break, and I was like,
by All-Star break, I think
everyone being on the DL, being on the DL, I was like, man.
I think a month in,
Can I interrupt? Hey, no, can I interrupt you for a second?
Yeah.
A new member has joined the chat. I don't know if she can hear us, Connie.
Does she not have a camera?
I hear her avatar.
She's not showing up on the video, so.
Anyways, I thought I saw her her avatar's on, but anyways, I guess after these commercial breaks. Hey!
Hey! Welcome in.
What up, Con?
Welcome to the house.
That was our golf clap.
What's up, Connie?
We don't hear her. Moderator.
Hey, Connie, we can't hear you. I'm gonna send you a message. Okay, while we're working on the audio difficulty, Neil had a point.
No, I mean
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
There we go.
All right.
Yay! Finally.
All right.
So Connie, why do you hate fantasy baseball?
It's too much to maintain
Thank you.
every day, and then people keep getting hurt.
There you go. See, she had the same problem I had. Every time I log in, 20 people on the DL. Like, what the fuck?
And then,
By the way, we
can't
need to get
do
rid
this.
of Johnny Peralta because he's gonna get suspended for biogenesis.
are you sure?
Yes.
Okay.
It's okay. You'll be.
Hey, Mecca, offer me a trade. I'll approve right away.
Making Neil try to offer me a. All I gotta do is look at the stats, man. That shit don't add up.
Hi guys.
I mean, I follow baseball stats.
Hi. How you guys doing?
All right, man talk. Leave, woman.
Hi.
That's how you
Did she just bring you cookies and milk?
Milk and cookies.
home baked cookies
Milk
and
and
none of that 2% shit. But yeah, I think fantasy baseball is just it's awful. I cannot follow it. I don't know enough about baseball to be engaged in it, and it's just too damn long. Why don't they just condense it into a couple months like football and I don't know, tweak the formula or something?
It has to go with the season, right?
No, I know that, but I'm sure there's a way to tweak the formula to not make it the same in every sport, like a template.
Fantasy baseball, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, like, say for instance, you have two
We
halves.
play a short season next year. We should just play from All-Star break on.
Well, yeah, or yeah, exactly, something like that, or even like you have two halves, and then you pick whatever months in the halves, and or even like just do it in the playoffs or something. I'm sure there's like a creative way to make it more engaging for fans to, I don't know, to be more.
Maybe not casual fan. The only thing disappointing to me about fantasy baseball is when I started playing fantasy football, for instance. Actually, it helped me learn a lot more about football. I feel like fantasy baseball has not done that. Like, I haven't learned anything more than I normally would have picked up just by watching games, by playing fantasy baseball. Like, I try to do research, but still, like, I don't.
All you gotta do is ask me.
I know, but
Yeah, that's exactly what you
But
do.
then I
You
kinda
ask the
con
guy
you.
who's trying to trade with you
yeah.
so he can swindle you.
No, plus I actually, for me, it's more fun to try and figure these things out myself. So, but unfortunately, I just felt like I didn't learn anything just by playing that I didn't already know or I didn't already pick up from watching. So, I'm cool watching. I'm still following like the season and still watching games.
Well, yeah, for sure. Our next, I kind of didn't think people were gonna do fantasy baseball, but fantasy football. I think the next show should just we're strictly gonna be talking about football because
Well,
this weekend.
It's shifting gears anyway. College is coming up. College sports is coming up. Football is coming up. Soccer is coming up.
Soccer's coming up. I didn't know it had a place to go.
Soccer is coming up.
Are you talking about MLS?
Huh?
Are you talking about MLS?
No, MLS is about to end actually. Yeah, today was a All-Star game. MLS All-Star game was today.
Yeah, I only watched like 10 minutes of their All-Star game, and Roma already scored one. I was like,
Well, of
F
course,
this.
duh.
Our All-Star team can't handle.
What do you expect? I mean,
I know, I'm just kidding.
but I like it's a cool little format though. It's not like format of other sports.
Yeah, they're gonna try. They're doing something different with the Pro Bowl next year.
Yeah.
That's a creative way to fucking, at least get some attention. I mean, it might be a fucking gimmick, but
the only thing I like about the new format, I don't know if you guys have heard it. If you want to run it down or whatever, I know there's no kickoffs anymore. They'll just place the ball at the 25-yard line and start each quarter. I kind of like. I like the idea. I don't like the idea of no kickoffs. It's kind of like, what are you gonna do with kickers now? Who get elected to the Pro Bowl. But the part that I really like though is the part where it changes possession every quarter. So every quarter there's a 2-minute warning.
is that a new rule?
Yeah, well, for the Pro Bowl. So
Oh
it gives
yeah. I heard about the stupid. I don't know.
It gives each team the chance to at least like start, a quarter with a possession kind of thing. So I like that one, but I'm not really sure. I like the draft format, but I don't like the idea of. They could easily draft NFC, AFC. They could do it that way, but in this case,
explain the draft. Hey, Mecca, explain the draft format.
So basically, players are just gonna get elected.
Be right back.
Players are gonna get elected to the Pro Bowl, and then they'll get 2 Hall of Famers each year to draft players. Kind of like what Charles and Shaq did with the Rookie Challenge.
It's kind of like when you're on the playground and you have 2 team captains.
Exactly.
And one guy gets left behind and he goes home with his balls. You know what would be funny if they had an odd number for the Pro Bowl selection and then one Pro Bowler doesn't get elected on the team. Like, what exactly? I think that would be pretty awesome. Like of course you kind of make it the butt of the joke, but I mean, it'll garner some attention. I don't know if it's needed attention, but
yeah.
No,
but they'll all get drafted. It'll probably come down to who gets drafted last. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's just as bad as not getting drafted, I suppose. But
yeah, like I said, I don't like it because they're just gonna fans are just gonna select like players from different positions. So potentially you could have an entire division blanked out, or you could have an entire conference. That couldn't happen, but there's the possibility that just NFC players could end up like in the Pro Bowl. Or just NFC quarterbacks, for instance, or just NFC receivers. So that doesn't really look good. If they can make it stick to the same format or whatever, and I don't know, it's a little tough. But yeah. So it's going to be a new format standing next year. And the good thing about it, which I feel has nothing to do with the football, is the fact that apparently the football keep gets ratings.
What's it called?
The hell's
What the hell, Connie?
Sounds like someone flushed or something. But anyways, I think I think we should start wrapping it up. I mean, we can still talk, whatever, but you know, we about 40 minutes worth of audio here. I think that's pretty
Good show, guys.
pretty nice.
Where did you go? Looked like you had what's it called there? Invisible image sitting there.
See, Connie knows like what to do. We should have her be our little producer.
What are you doing? Are you posting it on Facebook?
Hell yeah! I hope not. Not the visual. I hope.
Oh, I hope that you should get both.
All right. Well, once we get a little bit more comfortable with just how the segments and the production goes, I think it'll be a lot more, I guess, podcast-like.
Nope.
But I think we're off to a good
number
start.
2.
We're off to a decent start. There's tons of stuff to talk about. There'll be more to talk about as football season comes around. For me, I'm actually kind of more excited to talk about college football once that gets going.
San Jose State. What?
Yep.
Spartans.
A lot
What?
of good stuff in the pipeline or in the works. So that'll be good, and it'll probably be right around playoffs, baseball playoffs. So hopefully there'll be some good stuff to talk about there too.
As long as
Well, yeah. I mean, the fall is kind of like the
Loaded.
kind
It's
of
loaded.
everything for sports.
Yeah.
So it'll be good. I think we should all have like a sign off. I mean, we'll
Wait,
continue to talk.
final
but,
thoughts.
Okay. Final thoughts, Neil?
No, start with somebody else. I don't have a final thought.
I just want to give final thoughts on the MLS, and there's been an article going around lately in the soccer sphere about how the MLS problem is its own fans, or not its own fans, but soccer fans. Basically, Alexi Lala started this controversy talking about how soccer fans in the U.S. who don't follow the MLS are sellouts and they're not real soccer fans, or they shouldn't call themselves soccer fans. We could probably go deep into this later, but basically my final thought goes on around. I think Americans are just pretty content with whatever they like to preoccupy themselves with. It has to be the best product, and they're just so used to it that if you think about any league, the Major League Baseball has the best baseball players in the world. The NBA has the best basketball players in the world. NFL has the best soccer players in the world. Unfortunately, MLS does not have the best soccer players in the world. So that's just gonna be something that they're gonna have to live with. And to call soccer fans out, whether they're American or not, or because they live in the U.S. and call themselves soccer fans, is not really being soccer fans because they don't follow the MLS, is just stupid. And so, it's just what it is,
Well,
Those are my final thoughts.
Okay. Well, I can go next now if you want. A final thought for me, anyways. I actually I went to a summer concert series earlier today at the Grove. And well, that is they did perform.
You want to see the Backstreet Boys thing?
I went out of curiosity, and it was just kind of like maybe I unfortunately didn't stay. I didn't want to wait through the opening act, because the opening act is always the worst and they take the most time.
That's why you don't go to opening act.
But I wanted to say that I was representing BSB today, and props to that. That's my final thought.
Summer concert series.
Summer concert series, exactly. And I spoke to the BlackBerry folks over there because they had a booth. Anyways, had nothing to do with sports or anything like that, but
Well, that's what we're all about.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Connie, anything you want.
We should start looking for cheap tickets to preseason 49ers game.
Not Raiders? What? Oh, it's way more cheap.
That's kind of ironic. She had the pirate on.
Wait, didn't we get like really cheap ones last year?
Yeah, we did. I think it was like under $10.
Yeah.
Ain't gonna happen again in their new stadium. You're gonna be paying.
No, but
I think Raider tickets are more expensive than Niner tickets, though. Well, not regular season
though. I think if we can go preseason, but the best thing is like only one car could go in, like a couple trucks could go in and set up like a tailgate, and the rest could take BART.
Oh.
Meet up right at a spot, and we can just tailgate.
Yeah. Okay, we'll plan one soon.
All right, cool. Neil, 150.
You know, I really didn't have much to say. I think I think next week we should really consider having everybody who participates conduct a fantasy draft about celebrity athletes. And I'm talking about the celebrities that pretend
all I'll say about that topic is that you can't deny this, Neil. You cannot deny it. Was Justin Bieber MVP at a basketball game? That's all.
I agree, but then you know what? Kevin James, the King of Queens, was the MVP of the MLB
celebrity
game. So I mean,
that's still props because he can play.
It's not talent or physique.
So we're gonna have a draft list to draft from.
Yeah, I other than that, I think.
There's tons of athletes out there.
Well, I guess stay tuned next week for everyone's list of top performing celebrity athletes. Top 5. How about that? Top 5.
Yeah, at least cute in shorts. I'll take One Direction first pick. Oh yeah.
Oh, the Oakland tonight.
That's a teaser. That's a teaser.
I know.
So,
I knew that they. Yeah, I wish that I knew that they were in San Jose last night. I would have looked for tickets, but.
They're like $200.
See, that's probably why I didn't get tickets.
Wow.
But I have yet to see Britney Spears' new video, but I bought her single from Smurfs 2.
Ooh La La.
Ooh La La.
I think that's what it's called. I don't know. I think that's what it's called.
I think for the playoff fantasy baseball playoffs, if Kim will trade me. Approve the trade, I will change my name back to Team Britney.
I guess on that bombshell, we'll close out our first ever Hairflips and Layups podcast.
Hey, you gotta let people know how to find us.
Like us on Facebook. That's how you find us. Yeah, like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter, and
feel free to comment on any topics that you might have heard today with your opinions, questions, comments, or anything you just like ranting or raving about. All right, take us away.
That's a wrap. Was there no party for Glenn today?
Oh, I don't know what he's doing. It's his birthday.
Yeah, or when's Angelo coming back?
Angelo's in LA, I think.
We'll keep talking. I'm just gonna end the broadcast.
Cool.
The after show.